Asho. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we're going to be making t-shirt dresses. Spring and hot girl summer is right around the corner, and this is such a fun and easy look to create for brunch, a quick date, or just something to throw on and be cute in. So let's get right into it. So out of the two shirts here, I'm going to go with the Good Vibes t-shirt just because that's my mood at the current moment. You want to lay out your t-shirt completely flat, get all of the wrinkles, bumps, and kinks out of it, and then you're going to cut your tag. I got this for $6.99 at DD's. Next, you're going to go ahead and grab a dress that you like the way that it fits on your body, and you're going to cut it out, cut out that shape onto the t-shirt. Yes, I'm using super small scissors, mind your business. They're my favorite scissors of all time, and they cut really good. So after you get your side cut, you're going to go ahead and add a pin just to kind of secure your fabric, make sure that it's not moving or anything. Then you're going to add a small notch. That was a big one, so don't do what I did. We'll fix that later. And then you're going to pin it there so that way you know where to cut across the top. Next, we're just going to go ahead and add a few more pins to secure your fabric to make sure that it's not moving or anything, and make sure that it remains even on both sides when we cut. Now you're going to take the shoulder seam and make sure that it's lined up correctly and add a pin there. Once again, this just keeps your fabric in place so that way it's not moving, and that way it's even on both sides. Now we have our dress folded in half. As you can see, there's still a sleeve on this side, so we're going to go ahead and cut the side of the dress so that way it can match the first side that we cut. So now it's even on both sides. We're going to go ahead and cut across, and I'm cutting right up underneath the text just because I don't want a super long dress, but it's going to vary depending on your t-shirt. So after you unfolded the dress, you're going to want to fold it again just to make sure it's kind of completely even. Do any necessary cuts if needed. Right here, I'm just cinching in the waistline to kind of give me a more fitted look around my waist. So now it should be completely even with a curve on this side and a curve on this side, matching up at the waistline. So we got the front and the back out. Give it one more last glance to make sure everything is how you want it to be. And here I just kind of noticed that this side was a little bit thicker than the other side, so I'm just trimming the excess fabric off so that way it can be even and my waist can be snatched. So now that we got the front and the back of the dress out of the way, we're going to go ahead and work on getting our straps cut out. So I'm just using some excess fabric from the t-shirt, and what I'm going to do is just cut out a rectangular shape. And you don't have to measure. I just kind of eyeballed this. This is about 2 inches. You're going to fold it in half right here, and make sure that you add a pin to secure the fabric so that way it's not moving and your straps are even on both sides. There is going to be a small triangular place that's left over here at the end right here. I'm just going to cut right down and make sure that your pin, when you inserted it to anchor your fabric, make sure that your pin is going the opposite direction of your scissors so that way you don't break your scissors, and so that way the needle does not pop up and poke you in the eye. So now you should have a total of 2 rectangular pieces cut out for your straps, and what we're going to do is keep those 2 together and actually cut it in half. So now you have 4 rectangular pieces, now 1 inch wide. So I'm just using my dress here for reference. I'm going to check the strap length to see if it's the same length that I want it to be. And it is. So how you get this strap to look like this is pretty much take your 1 inch rectangle you cut out and stretch it. T-shirt material is super easy to stretch, and you can get it to whatever length you'd like for it to be. I only did this for 2, and just in case you don't like how they turned out, you have 2 extra on the side that we did not use. Now we're going to go ahead and take the other sleeve that we had left over and cut the long side. You're going to fold that rectangle in half, and then you're going to fold it in half again. We're going to add a pin to secure everything, make sure it doesn't move, and we're going to make sure that it's a straight rectangle. Make sure that all of your sides are semi-even. And once again, this is about 2 inches wide as well. I did not measure. You can if you need to. I'm going to add a couple of more pins to secure everything, and then we're just going to simply cut this huge rectangle in half, and now it should be 2 inches wide each one. And it looks like I had a little extra hanging off, so we're just going to snip that and keep it moving. So here we should have two 2-inch wide rectangular pieces for the side area where we're going to do our ruching. So we still have another sleeve left over because remember, we only cut that small piece off at the end of the sleeve. So here we're just going to take a super long rectangle, and this is about 1.5 inches wide. I'm gonna make sure that it's cut all the way across and that it's a good size rectangle. And what we're gonna do is just stretch that material, and this will now become our strings for the side to give us that ruching effect. Now I'm just making sure that it's super stretched because I want some really long extra kind of strings going on. And now that we got it stretched out, what you're going to do is take that string and you're going to cut directly in the center of the string. This is going to give you a total of 4 strings once complete. And I'm just stretching it out again because once you cut it in half, it has a little bit more room to stretch some more. So now what you're going to do is remove your pins from your dress. You're going to turn your back side over and your front side over and make sure that they're facing together. You're going to make sure everything lines up, and then you're going to pin all the way down the side seam and all the way down the other side seam, so that way you can get ready to sew. Now when you're doing so, make sure that your needles are going perpendicular to your side seam. This way you can sew over your needle and it's not going to damage your machine, and you'll still be able to keep your fabric mended together. If you choose to put your pins going parallel down the side seams, you will mess up your machine. It's not even worth it, sis. So we're going to sew down that side and this side. Make sure that you backstitch in here. You see me in just a little bit further than I need to, and that's just because I messed up at the very beginning of this video. I made the notch super big when I shouldn't have. I should have just cut a small slit. So here I'm just trying to fix it on this side, and you're just going to sew completely down. You may need to remove pins depending on how far you put them, because you cannot sew over the yellow ball of the pin, but you can sew over just the pin itself here, as you see. And now that we got this side complete, we're going to go ahead, flip our garment over and sew onto this side and go all the way down the side seam, and make sure you backstitch. And once again, just a friendly reminder, you cannot sew on the yellow ball that's on the pin. You can only sew on the silver or metal part. You do not want to mess up your machine. Make sure you cut off any of your excess thread so that way it's not hanging on your garment whenever you're actually done, because that just looks tacky. We're going to remove all of your pins from both side seams. You don't want nothing poking on you whenever you get ready to try it on. It's not fun. So here I noticed that I still had a small hole from whenever I made the mistake of making a big notch. So what I'm doing is just kind of going in and I'm maneuvering around the hole, really small seam there. You don't want to take up too much of your seam allowance. So just be very careful whenever you're cutting that notch that you do not go as deep as I did. You don't want to make that same mistake. So next we're going to go ahead and apply the ruching. Grab the larger rectangle that we cut out and you're going to place it on the sides. T-shirt material ravels, so you may need to go ahead and pin it so that way it's secured whenever you're cutting. I had to cut it down just a little bit because I'm not wanting mine to ruche up too much on the side because the dress itself is already short. So here I'm just pinning the rectangular area down onto the garment, and you want to be very careful when you pin not to pin the other side of the dress because you don't want to sew it together. I'm going to go ahead and do the same exact thing on this side, just unraveling the rectangle and adding the pins here so that way we know exactly where we're going to sew. And I did 2 up top and 2 on the bottom just to make sure that everything is secured. And now we're going to sew on the left, right, and in the middle. So here I am feeding just one side of the dress, sewing the rectangle on to the wrong side of the fabric. You don't want to do it on the right side of the fabric because you're not going to get that ruching effect. So here we are on the right side, and we're going to do the same thing on the left side. And yes, I'm using white thread for this. I just noticed that. I'm honestly just super lazy. I'm going to use whatever thread I have in the machine at the moment, unless it's for a client. For me, I really don't care. I'm gonna wear it regardless. So now we're going to go ahead and sew a line directly down the middle. This is going to create a divider so that way we're able to slide our string in both the left and the right side. I didn't have to use pins for this simply because the left and right sides are already sewn down. Next, you're going to take your string. I use a chopstick. You don't have to if you don't want to. You can use a safety pin or any other tool you have. I simply tie a knot around the chopstick, a very loose knot, and you simply just stick it into one hole and just pull out. It's super easy to do it this way. I've tried other methods and that didn't really work for me, and my patience is already thin. I just simply like the chopstick method. It works. So now that we sewed the strings onto both sides of the dress, what you want to do is just try it on. Make sure that you like how the strings are dangling. I kind of had an issue. I had to kind of figure out exactly how I wanted for the strings to be, and boom. Next is the straps. I always have issues making straps because I'm always trying to do the most. I'm extra. I don't know why. I can't help it. But I really want to do something simple. But that's kind of cute. I don't think I like that one for this look, but then again, it is kind of cute. No, not the choker. So I'm going to go ahead and go with the classic spaghetti strap. So what you want to do is make sure the strap is completely in the center of your boob and add a pin. You want to do this to the back side and then again with the other strap. Now that we got the straps pinned onto the dress, what you're going to do is go ahead and sew them on. Super easy. And here I'm just making sure that the back of the strap and the dress lines up with the front of the strap and the dress. And remember, you do not want to pin in the same direction that you will be feeding your garment through the sewing machine. Alright, so real quick, here we go. Just a couple of stitches because the straps are super small. Make sure you backstitch to keep everything locked and in place. And make sure you repeat for both sides. Yes, I really love this dress. I like how it turned out. You can wear this to brunch, date night. I'm definitely going to be making more of these. Comment down below and tell me what you think I should make next. This was my first video. I appreciate you for watching, and peace.